Hello and welcome to Stillness Unfolded, where we dive deep into lessons of inner peace and philosophical insights that help us find tranquility in life. Today, I am excited to share with you a very special topic, the illusion of permanence and the art of letting go. In this video, we will explore valuable Buddhist teachings about impermanence and how we can face significant life changes without fear or anxiety. You'll gain a deeper understanding of how letting go of attachments and expectations can bring us freedom and peace. I promise you will gain fresh perspectives that will help you live in harmony with life's inevitable transformations. Before we dive in, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on future insightful content. Also, feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. This helps the channel grow and allows us to bring more quality content to you. Remember, this video is packed with valuable information, so be sure to watch all the way through to fully absorb the wisdom we're sharing today. The illusion of permanence, letting go of attachments. One of the deepest teachings of Buddhism is that everything in life is impermanent. This principle touches every aspect of our existence: our relationships, our health, our homes, even our very sense of self. In a world that is ever-changing, clinging to the idea of permanence can create suffering. We often spend our lives attaching ourselves to things, people, and situations, believing that they will remain constant. But Buddhism teaches us that everything is in a constant state of flux, and nothing truly stays the same forever. As we grow older, this lesson becomes even more relevant. Many of us go through life assuming that our loved ones will always be there, that our homes will remain our safe havens, and that our health will sustain us. But as the years pass, we inevitably face changes that challenge the sense of security. Relationships evolve, loved ones pass away, and our bodies begin to show signs of aging. When these changes happen unexpectedly, they can feel like a shock, a rug being pulled out from under us. We may feel disoriented, like we've lost our footing in life. Buddhism teaches us that attachment to the idea of permanence is the root cause of suffering. It's not that we should abandon our relationships or withdraw from life. Instead, we are invited to understand that all things, including ourselves, are part of a natural cycle of change. Accepting this truth frees us from the fear of change and allows us to embrace life as it comes, with all its joys and uncertainties. When we stop clinging to the illusion that things must always stay the same, we open ourselves to a deeper sense of peace and understanding. Consider the example of an elderly man named Peter, whom I met many years ago. Peter had spent his life building a successful career, raising a family, and creating a comfortable home. For years, everything felt stable, as if his life would always follow the same pattern. But when his health began to decline unexpectedly, Peter found himself facing the harsh reality of aging and the loss of the physical strength he had always relied on. His career, which had been his sense of purpose and security, was no longer an option for him, and the familiar patterns of his life began to shift. At first, Peter resisted these changes, struggling with the idea that he could no longer do the things he once enjoyed. His attachment to the idea of himself as a strong, independent man led to frustration and sorrow. But over time, Peter began to accept his changing circumstances. He learned to let go of his attachment to the idea of permanence and embrace the reality of his new situation. By doing so, he found a deeper peace, discovering new sources of meaning and joy in his life, despite his health challenges. How can we apply this lesson in our own lives? Reflecting on Peter's story, we can ask ourselves, what attachments are we holding onto that may be causing us suffering? Are there aspects of our lives that we have been clinging to, hoping they will remain unchanged forever? How can we start to embrace the natural flow of change, rather than resisting it? These are important questions to consider as we navigate the inevitable changes that come with aging and life. To practice letting go of attachment, try integrating mindfulness into your daily routine. Start with a simple breathing exercise. As you inhale and exhale, pay attention to the rise and fall of your breath, noticing how each moment is fleeting. When you feel the urge to cling to something, a thought, a worry, or an attachment, gently remind yourself that everything is impermanent. This practice can help you develop a sense of peace and acceptance, allowing you to embrace change more gracefully. Have you ever faced a significant change in your life that made you realize the impermanence of things? How did you handle it? Did you struggle with letting go of attachments, or did you find a way to accept and move forward? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Let's support each other in our journeys toward greater peace and acceptance. The reality of unexpected change, embracing impermanence. Life is unpredictable, and no one can escape the inevitable changes that come with aging and the passage of time. As we move through life, we expect certain things to remain constant: our health, the people we love, our routines, but change often arrives unexpectedly. One moment, everything can feel stable, and the next, something shifts, throwing us into a new reality. These moments of change, while often unsettling, offer us the opportunity to practice acceptance and mindfulness. Buddhism teaches us that suffering arises when we resist change. When life doesn't go the way we expect, we experience discomfort. However, it is only when we learn to accept that change is a natural part of life that we can begin to experience peace. Embracing impermanence allows us to let go of the need for control, and instead, accept life as it comes, without resistance. I recently spoke to a woman named Carol, who shared a story of unexpected change. Carol had been married for over 30 years. She and her husband, Peter, had built a life together, and she never imagined that anything would disrupt the stability they had created. But one day, Carol received a phone call that would alter her life forever. Peter had collapsed at work and passed away unexpectedly. At first, Carol was in shock, overwhelmed by grief and the sudden loss of her husband. But as the days and weeks passed, she began to face a new reality. Peter had handled all their finances, and Carol had never paid much attention to the practical details of their life together. There were no wills, no financial plan, and she had no idea where to find the information she needed. Carol was blindsided not just by the loss of Peter, but by the fact that she had lived in the illusion of security, assuming that everything was in place and would always be that way. In that moment, Carol realized that no matter how much we try to plan and control, life is full of uncertainties. She learned that true peace comes not from external security, but from the ability to adapt and navigate the unexpected with a calm mind and an open heart. She began to take control of her finances, reaching out to financial advisors, and becoming more mindful of the changes she was facing. This shift in mindset, from resistance to acceptance, allowed her to move forward, even in the midst of uncertainty. How can we embrace change in our own lives? Just like Carol, we may be faced with unexpected changes that challenge our sense of security. How do we react when life throws us off course? Do we fight against it, or do we accept it and adapt? Reflecting on these questions can help us approach change with a sense of calm and openness. To help embrace change in your life, try practicing mindfulness when you face a challenging moment. Take a few deep breaths and focus on the present moment, letting go of any judgment or resistance. Remind yourself that change is inevitable and part of the natural flow of life. You might also consider journaling about your feelings when faced with change. Writing down your thoughts can help you process your emotions and move through the change with greater clarity. Have you ever been blindsided by an unexpected change in your life? How did you navigate that shift? What did you learn from the experience? Share your story with us in the comments below, and let's support one another in embracing the impermanence of life. Preparing for life's changes, the importance of mindful awareness. While we cannot predict or control all the external circumstances of our lives, Buddhism teaches us that we can control our response to these circumstances. As we age, life will inevitably bring changes physical, emotional, and social. These changes, whether expected or unexpected, are part of the natural flow of life. The key to navigating them with grace lies in cultivating mindful awareness and preparing ourselves mentally and emotionally, not just physically. In Buddhism, mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in each moment, observing our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. This practice of awareness allows us to remain calm in the face of change and uncertainty. It helps us understand that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can choose how we respond. When we face challenges, whether they are health issues, loss of loved ones, or the inevitable aging process, we can approach them with acceptance, instead of fear or resistance. I think about my friend David, a successful businessman in his 60s, who had always prided himself on being in control of every aspect of his life. He had planned meticulously for his retirement, accumulated wealth, and stayed physically active. He thought he had prepared for everything life could throw at him. But then, David was diagnosed with a chronic illness that gradually robbed him of his independence. His body, once strong and resilient, began to fail him in ways he hadn't anticipated. At first, David struggled to accept his new reality. He had always been the one in control, the one who helped others, and now he had to rely on others for the first time in his life. He felt frustrated and helpless. But with time, David began to realize that his attachment to the idea of self-sufficiency was causing him suffering. He started practicing mindfulness to become more aware of his emotions and thoughts. Instead of resisting his limitations, he began to accept them. This shift in mindset allowed him to embrace his situation with greater peace, focusing on what he could still control: his attitude, his relationships, and his inner peace. David's journey is a reminder that true preparation for life's changes goes beyond physical or material security. It involves developing an inner resilience, a peace of mind that comes from accepting the impermanence of life. By cultivating mindfulness, we can prepare ourselves emotionally and mentally for the shifts that come with aging or any significant change. How can we prepare ourselves for life's inevitable changes? Think about your own life. What changes have you faced, or what changes do you anticipate in the future? How can mindfulness help you navigate those changes? Reflecting on these questions can help us approach life's transitions with greater clarity and ease. To start preparing for life's changes, consider setting aside time each day for mindfulness practice. It could be as simple as sitting quietly for 10 minutes, focusing on your breath, and observing your thoughts without judgment. This practice can help you develop the mental flexibility needed to embrace life's changes when they come. Additionally, take time to reflect on your emotions surrounding change, allowing yourself to process and understand them instead of resisting them. What changes are you currently facing in your life? How are you preparing for them? What role has mindfulness played in your journey? Share your experiences in the comments below. Let's learn from one another as we navigate the inevitable changes that come with life. The role of family and relationships, letting go of expectations. As we grow older, we often find ourselves more dependent on the support of our family and loved ones. We may look to them for emotional support, physical care, and a sense of security. However, Buddhism teaches us that attaching our happiness and peace to the actions or presence of others can lead to suffering. The Buddha's wisdom reminds us that no relationship, no matter how close, can offer the permanence and certainty that we seek. All things, including relationships, are impermanent, and depending too heavily on others can leave us vulnerable to disappointment. In my own life, I've seen many individuals struggle with the expectations they place on their loved ones. A dear friend of mine, Martha, had always been the rock of her family. She raised 3 children, supported her husband through thick and thin, and made sure that everyone was cared for. As she aged, she expected that her children would be there for her in her later years, just as she had been there for them. But as life often does, things didn't unfold as she had imagined. Her children, now grown with families and careers of their own, were unable to give her the time and attention she had hoped for. Martha found herself in a position where she needed help but couldn't rely on her children as much as she thought she would. At first, this was a painful realization for her. She felt rejected, abandoned, and confused. But over time, Martha came to understand that her children's lives, like her own, were filled with their own responsibilities and challenges. The love and care they gave her could not be dictated by her expectations. This realization was a profound turning point for Martha. She learned that true peace comes from within, not from the actions of others. By letting go of her expectations and embracing her own self-sufficiency, Martha found the freedom to seek support from other sources, such as a caregiver and a community of peers. She also began to build deeper connections with others, finding strength in her relationships outside of her immediate family. Her story reminds us that while family is important, we must not place the weight of our happiness solely on them. How can we release expectations in our relationships? Many of us rely on our loved ones for emotional support, but what happens when they cannot meet those needs? How can we find peace when our expectations are unmet? Reflecting on these questions can help us learn to love without clinging and to accept our relationships for what they are, rather than what we want them to be. To practice letting go of expectations, take a moment each day to reflect on your relationships. Are there any expectations you are holding onto that might be causing you stress or disappointment? Try to shift your focus from what others should do to what you can offer in the relationship. Practice gratitude for the love and support that you receive, without placing conditions on it. Have you ever had to let go of expectations in a relationship? How did it impact your sense of peace? What steps did you take to find peace within yourself instead? Share your story in the comments below. Let's support each other in learning to release attachment and embrace the love and support that is available to us, no matter the source. Embracing solitude, finding peace in being alone. As we age, one of the most profound changes we face is the prospect of solitude. For many, the idea of being alone in later years can evoke feelings of loneliness, isolation, and fear. We may worry about being forgotten, overlooked, or left behind. Society often places great value on constant connection and interaction, and the idea of aging alone can feel like a shadow that looms over us. However, Buddhism offers a different perspective on solitude. Rather than seeing it as a curse, Buddhism teaches us that solitude can be an opportunity for deep introspection, personal growth, and liberation. The Buddha himself spent years in solitude, seeking enlightenment in the stillness of nature, free from the distractions of the world. Through meditation and quiet reflection, he was able to connect deeply with his true self and discover a profound inner peace. In Buddhism, solitude is not about being isolated from others, but rather about cultivating an inner peace that does not depend on the presence of others. It's about learning to be fully present with ourselves, without the constant need for external validation or companionship. I think of Henry, a man in his late 70s who had spent most of his life surrounded by others. He was married for over 50 years, raised children, and lived in a bustling neighborhood filled with friends and family. However, after his wife passed away, Henry found himself living alone for the first time in decades. At first, the silence in his home felt deafening. The absence of the familiar voices and laughter that once filled the house was overwhelming. He often said, "I never thought I'd be this alone. I thought I'd always have someone with me." But over time, Henry began to experience a shift. The silence, which once felt like a heavy burden, started to transform into a space of peace. He began to meditate, sitting quietly in the same chair where he and his wife had shared many conversations. He started reconnecting with himself, understanding his thoughts, feelings, and desires in a way he never had before. Through meditation and mindfulness, Henry discovered that solitude could be a gift, not a punishment. In embracing solitude, Henry learned that being alone didn't mean being lonely. He found peace in the stillness, a peace that didn't rely on the presence of others. He began to see that solitude offered him the opportunity to reconnect with himself, to reflect on his life, and to find a deeper sense of fulfillment that was not dependent on external circumstances. How can we embrace solitude in our own lives? Many of us fear being alone, but what if solitude could be an opportunity for personal growth and inner peace? How can we shift our perspective on being alone and begin to see it as a chance to reconnect with ourselves? To begin embracing solitude, try setting aside some time each day for quiet reflection. Start with a few minutes of stillness, sitting quietly without distractions. Focus on your breath and allow your thoughts to come and go without judgment. Use this time to reconnect with your inner self and cultivate a sense of peace. If you feel comfortable, consider journaling about your feelings of solitude and what you can learn from them. Have you experienced moments of solitude in your life? How did you navigate those times? What did you learn from being alone? Share your experiences in the comments below. Let's encourage each other to embrace solitude as a powerful tool for personal growth and inner peace. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope the insights about impermanence and letting go have offered you some profound reflections on life, and that you are now better equipped to face change with peace and clarity. If you found this video helpful, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel for more content that helps us grow together on this journey of discovery and self-improvement. And once again, don't hesitate to share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. We value your input. As always, Stillness Unfolded is here to walk with you, helping you discover peace in every moment of life. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.